Hey YouTube family, it's Dinko the Realtor, the National Association of Home Builders, the Mortgage Bankers Association, and the National Association of Realtors. The entire housing market is panicking, saying that, hey, housing can actually cause the first major downturn, a major recession. Check this out. Housing industry urges Powell to stop raising interest rates. Rates risk an economic hard landing. Now, I thought that the housing industry was, immune to what was going on in the economy, what was going on with the Fed. Hey, there's a shortage of homes. The homes are, they're non-existent, just like it's 2021. And we, went over a video about 2 weeks ago where I showed y'all that that was really not the case. We were having, the same amount of homes for sale September of 2023 compared to September of 2019. That is indicating that there is the same amount of homes for sale, yet the demand has fallen off the cliff, which means we technically, even though we had the same amount of inventory in 2019 in September compared to 2023, we still have more inventory because there's a smaller demand. So we actually have more inventory out there, right? Supply and demand. And right there, the housing industry is urging the Fed to stop because they can actually cause housing to cause the recession. And I've been saying this, that there are a ton of dominoes, right? There's the car loan, there's the tech bubble, there's the student loan stuff that's resuming right now, the payments, there's the housing bubble. What is a bubble? Well, a bubble is when something gets, extremely high and it becomes unaffordable for the average American, where it's, just really, really unaffordable and it causes the supply and demand to fall out of equilibrium. This is Econ 101. So what that means is you have to find where supply and demand kind of intersect on the graph. Well, right now, prices are just so high with such high interest rates that even though people want a house, they just can't go out and buy one because they can't afford one. So we're out of that equilibrium where it doesn't matter what the supply is anymore. The demand just isn't there because people just can't afford it, right? So these are the basic principles that we're just going away from. Basic principles in the economy that they're trying to just act. Recessions, are just never going to happen again. They're trying to avoid recessions, and we're in a capitalist society. Recessions are just something that is part of our society. That's why we see the booms and the busts, right? Now, I want to show y'all more stuff in this article. So right here, the National Association of Home Builders, the Mortgage Bankers Association, and the National Association of Realtors wrote the Fed to convey profound concern about the industry. Well, wasn't there builders going on news articles on, the news channel and saying, oh, the industry is just doing phenomenally great. There's a shortage of homes. We can't meet the demand. And they put this fear out there so buyers think that that's actually really true. But then when we analyze the data, we see that there is no longer that pandemic shortage, right? There is no 2,000, 3,000 homes for sale on any given month anymore. We haven't had that since the beginning of 2022, and that's why we saw this major slowdown in May of 2022 when homes just started lingering on the market and the inventory started going up. We saw home prices drop upwards of 15% with a historically low unemployment rate. Well, if we see a recession, then we probably can't say that we're stabilized. I mean, you hear people saying out there, date the rate, marry the house. Well, let me address that. If you date the rate and you marry the house, and then they're saying, oh, when interest rates go down, divorce the interest rate and stay with the house, right? Well, that's so bizarre. I mean, I guess that sounds great, but check this out. You are stuck with a 8% interest rate. And then what happens is the interest rates go down, and let's say the home value goes down. Well, who's going to give you a 4% interest rate if you have $100,000 of negative equity in your home? Then you're stuck in a bad relationship that you don't want to be in, right? This is kind of the fear mongering that's out there, things that just sound good, things that just make people want to get off the couch and go and buy a home. But we got to analyze what's going on in the industry, what's going on in the housing market, what's going on in the economy, everything. That way you have the financial decision, the financial information to make that decision for yourself. So right here, let me go back over here, and something just popped up, so I messed up the screen a little bit. Let's go here. Whoop, why did it do that? There we go. All right. So let's scroll right down here. Top real estate bankers, right, calling Federal Reserve to stop. I mean, we just see this. In a letter Monday addressed to the Fed Board of Governors, Chair Jerome Powell, the officials voiced their worries and the direction of the monetary policy and the impact it is having on the real estate market. Well, the thing is, the Mortgage Bankers Association and the National Association of Realtors, they're not like the home builders, right? The home builders, well, why are we coming to the rescue of home builders when a lot of them, not all of them, there was great home builders, but I mean, there was home builders taking advantage of 2021, beginning of 2022. There was even stories where the builders would call the buyer that was second in line and say, hey, the house is going to be completed in 15 days or 30 days. Do you want to offer $100,000 more than the person that outbid you or is ahead of you? And they say, yes, I would do that. They call the person that's under contract. They say, hey, you got to go up $100,000 if you want to keep the house you're under contract with, that you've been under contract for 6 and 9 months. That person loses the house. Now let's bail out the home builders industry. I mean, if they're losing money, if their values come down, that's capitalism, right? They were raking in the money when short inventory was actually true in 2021 and beginning of 2022, and now you're feeling the pain. Well, hey, it's capitalism, supply and demand. Adjust your price, right? I mean, that's simple as that. Now, the Mortgage Bankers Association and the National Association of Realtors, they're concerned because realtors and lenders are struggling out there and they're leaving the industry. So when they're leaving the industry, that's looking bad on the lending, on the realtors. There's less renewals going on, so it's impacting their business as well, and it's impacting the amount of people that are getting licenses to be a realtor, to be a lender, because things are just not doing great right now. So the industry itself is suffering with the amount of people that are leaving. I mean, you can even go to Google and see how many, lenders have actually gone out of business since interest rates started going up in 2022. And there is a ton of them. I mean, a ton of lenders that have just gone out of business. So you got to read between the lines, see what's going on out there. Right. I mean, the National Association of Home Builders, Mortgage Bankers Association, National Association of Realtors said, they wrote the letter, right? And this is profound concern, share. And just what I kind of addressed right now. And the groups asked the Fed not to, contemplate further rate hikes, not to actively sell its holdings on mortgage-backed securities, at least until the housing market has stabilized. Look at that. The industry itself is saying that the housing market hasn't stabilized, but yet the builders will go on the news, they'll say it. You'll even hear people within the industry saying that everything is stabilized, home prices are not going to go down. And here it is, the National Association of Realtors, the Association of Builders, and the Association of Lenders, right, the Banker Association, they're all stating that, hey, housing has not stabilized. I mean, right here, what does this say? Not to actively sell its holdings of mortgage securities, at least until the housing market has stabilized. Yet people are out there saying that everything has stabilized in the industry. So which is it? This is why I've said you have to pay attention to the data, to the economics, to the housing market, to everything, and see, are things really stabilized? I mean, we have the car bubble, we have the tech bubble, we have the student loans turning back on, where people haven't made payments for 3 years. That's going to take away from the consumer spending, which is the number one thing that makes our economy spin, consumer spending. And then you have car dealerships that, are over leveraged because the cars are losing value. You have home builders, you have the housing industry, you have interest rates. I mean, it just goes on and on. You have commercial real estate, you have corporate debt that's coming due with these variable interest rates. There's just a ton of stuff going on. And that's why I've been saying things haven't stabilized. And even when we saw the uptick where home prices did go up about 6% in the spring, I did say, and you can go back to the videos, that this is probably going to be short-lived based on the data. And I said the data is mimicking what happened last year. And as the summer progresses and as we go into fall and towards the holidays, you're going to be able to get a much better deal. And that is true right now. Homes are just lingering on the market and those deals are available right here. And I've been saying things have been happening first time in 20 years, first time ever, first time in 50 years. Here's another one. First time seeing treasury yields move like this in my 20-year career. And who is this? Jens Nordvig, Exante Data founder and CEO, joins Fast Money to talk about bonds and treasuries. So he hasn't seen this in his 20-year career. A lot of new things are happening, not since, and this is why when they're comparing it to 08, 09, it just frustrates me because that should not be our measuring standard. I mean, if it's worse than 08, 09, that's going to be terrible, right? But 50%, 20% of 08, 09 is not a great thing. I keep preaching this in my videos, but I hate that that's our measuring stick. And then right here, stocks fall on Monday as the 10-year treasury yield tops 5%, right? So they've been saying, oh, the Fed's got to cut, the Fed's got to stop. And the Fed just is saying, hey, inflation data just keeps coming out that the economy is just rumbling. It is just strong. The engine is on, the foot is on the gas, metal to the pedal, and it is not stopping. So we can't stop as the Fed. We can't say, hey, it's all tame, start cutting rates, start putting everything back into the economy, and then all of a sudden things just start going out of whack again, and that would just put things in a much worse situation. And then if we are in a bubble, the bubble would just grow bigger and bigger the longer you delay it. So the longer that this is actually taking, that they're putting things, bailouts, doing the student loan freezes that just resumed, the ones that they did last year, all of this is just building a bigger and bigger bubble because you're not letting the recession hit. So if the recession does hit, it's going to be more severe because there's more and more people being forced to make purchasing decisions, financial decisions, business, house, cars, whatever they're doing, based on market conditions right now that are not what they should be. So anyway, right here, it's just showing that things are not stable. And right here, they're seeing that, hey, the Fed is actually not, right here, 5% interest rate since 2007. We keep seeing this stuff. And Wall Street, a strong signal that the investors may be losing faith. Oh, it doesn't want to highlight that one. It's right there. So let's see here. Yep. It's not going to highlight it for some reason, and I'm just going to highlight the one that it's allowing me. So right there, it says right above it that the Fed could cut interest rates in the near future. So Wall Street and so the 10-year Treasury is a key level for Wall Street, and it is a strong signal that investors may be losing faith that the Fed could cut interest rates in the near future and pressure equities as a result. Some analysts think the benchmark yield could still have further room to run. This is what I've been saying. The Fed is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Nothing has settled in the economy. How can we say that the economy hasn't stabilized, but the housing market has stabilized? And yet the leaders in the housing industry are saying, hey, we're not stabilized. Let things stabilize. We could cause a recession just from the housing market. And I said that. What if there is a chance, if this thing just keeps getting prolonged, maybe housing is going to be the first domino to fall and start the recession, the economic recession, because home builders can't hold on to this inventory forever. They're in the business of selling homes. Their shareholders are going to start pulling out. Their investors are going to start pulling out, and they are going to be forced to sell these houses. They can't just hang on to them forever. Make sure that you're subscribing to this channel. That way you're up to date with what's going on in the Utah housing market, in the economy. That way you have the information that you need to make that financial decision for yourself.